What's happening, everyone? And welcome to the Systems Lab Live. This is the December 29th edition, the last live stream of 2022. How exciting is it? How exciting is it that we are here together. We are live currently on YouTube, LinkedIn, and on Instagram Live. For those that are on Instagram Live, hey, Instagram fam, make sure that you tap in for the visuals on YouTube or on LinkedIn. Got a lot of love for the LinkedIn family. For those that are a part of the live stream community, I know there's lots of folks that tune in, replays. And so I just thank each and every one of you. I truly do. I thank each and every one of you. And so it's an exciting time. It is an exciting time. I usually start just about now. Tomorrow, I'll be sending out, doing phone calls and whatnot, messages to people, Happy New Year. I'll also, send some appreciation texts as well. I do that. I sprinkle that throughout the year. It's good to just tell folks, whether you are in a close relationship with them, you network with them, their colleagues, co-workers, tell people that you love them, tell them that you appreciate them, tell them how much that you value them and who they are. I believe that is extra important in this day and age. Dion is in the building. It's wonderful, wonderful. That has been Dion. Okay, well, the YouTube people don't know because he's on Instagram. But he is the architect. I would say a cultural architect of Agency Evolve, that does dynamic branding strategy and innovative work for BIPOC agencies and small business owners. And so that is someone that you all should keep an eye out. So it is Dion underscore Bonaparte. And yeah, and he's on Instagram. So, and then also you can do that. Google Agency Evolve. It's a great organization, great business. Tonight, we have a few things to talk about, to get into in this live stream. This will be partially conversation, and then also I will share my screen in just a little bit to talk about podcasting strategy. Not podcasting. My mind is on podcasting because the new season is coming out very soon, the communication breakdown. So I'm just finalizing a couple things before I get my podcast production people, before I finalize all that. But anyway, it's project management strategy. We're going to be talking about that. But a few things for us to really talk about for our first segment of the show, which is show and tell with Ask Ash. And so those of you that may be catching this live stream for the very first time, you may be tuning in, you may be saying to yourself, what is all of this about? Well, the Systems Lab Live is, I would say, a live show. You can also call it a weekly, I guess, a training, a workshop, whatever you would like to call it. But you're definitely going to learn something. You're definitely going to grow, and you're going to be exposed to new information, especially if you lead and manage projects, if you are a change agent. And I know that's like a cliche term, but I'm probably going to start utilizing that more. An implementation pro, somebody that's been tasked to carry something out to the finish line, right? And so this weekly live stream really supports the work that happens behind the scenes. We're talking about our everyday work that we do. And so that's what we do here. We talk about all these things, right? How to manage projects, lead them, the strategy, the execution piece. And then I always start off the show with a segment, Show and Tell with Ask Ash, where I show you and I tell you what's happening out into the world. So we have productivity trends, the future of work, Black tech ecosystem, always something that's going on. Today, I do want to highlight a couple things that I think is of really good importance for us to talk about, and something that we should be thinking about as we head into 2023. So we were hearing a lot in the news all this year. Well, I would say probably even the past couple of years. Not so much. It probably hasn't been a topic that has been always been prevalent, but there's been certain things that have drawn our attention to social media platforms and the policies and who has been taking over. So in the past couple of years, there's been a lot of different proposed legislation. There's also been things coming from Capitol Hill on either like mergers of tech companies, privacy issues like Facebook and Twitter, other organizations, Google, people having to come and testify on Capitol Hill. There's also was, I believe, last summer, 5 different bills that were passed. Oh, excuse me, 5 different bills that were actually being considered, or I would say, um, called to the floor, so to speak. And I think that's really important for us to note, right? Because um, even with what's happening with Twitter, even with the rise of artificial intelligence, and all of these new technologies and things that are going on, I believe it's so important for us to pay attention to what is trying to literally have us pay attention, meaning with money or with time. Okay. So I hope that you caught that. We have to make sure that we are paying attention to what is trying to pay our attention. Okay. And so that is really important. So, what do I mean by this? So, let's break it down so that we're not, you know, I'm not throwing out, as my one of my coaches says, you have a lot of college terms, Ashley, that you're speaking to me right now. So we need to break it down. So what I'm trying to say is this: as we head into 2023, we should be mindful of this aspect of artificial intelligence and new emerging technology. It's fun, it's exciting. Chat GPT, I think it's called. Notion even has a AI tool that you can use. Notion is a task management tool, has some really cool productivity features and whatnot. I enjoy Notion a lot. And so what we have to be really mindful of is that even with all of these new technologies, there are certain things that alarm people, right? People on Capitol Hill, folks that are in the different areas of big tech and whatnot. Things alarm people, right? So we're talking about privacy. We're talking about data. We're talking about money. Okay. I think it's really important for us to make sure that we understand, what exactly are people in an uproar about, and we should just pay attention to these things, okay, as we're moving into the new year. So, whether or not you, I forgot, what was that one technology where you can do the little submit your picture, and then you can have the little cartoony things that go on. That's also a new trend. Okay. So I want you to be mindful, of a few things, right? And also, what is it? The House has banned or is proposing to ban TikTok, right? The staffers can't have TikTok. Okay. I think that's one of the things I was reading. So, number one, privacy. Huge concern. Who is all up in your phone as you're downloading these apps? And we've been doing this for like a long, long time, people. Like downloading apps, swapping information. That's why we get these emails that say, hey, we've had a data breach. Hey, you should be changing up your password. Bitmoji, yeah, in some respects, Bitmoji, but um we should be mindful of privacy. Okay. Lots of data. All of our Most of the apps that we have probably have, they have a lot of our data anyway. And so many people, especially when it comes to this artificial intelligence, the what you're doing in terms of you're signing up for all these different apps and things, privacy. Okay. What happens when people, that's the question I always have. Well, what happens when you have all this information? I'm wondering too, especially when you see those AI cartoons and those pictures. I'm wondering what y'all doing when who's whose faces, like, what do you do with the pictures of these real people when we've submitted our pictures and now we're looking like we're on Star Trek, and that we're in Wakanda, that we're in a Marvel movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a question I have. You have all of these pictures. What do you all do with them? This is my question. But so it's privacy and data. That's number one. Also, let's also think of it from the perspective of money. Okay. One of the reasons why, even for what is it, Bitcoin, and they have hearings on the Hill and whatnot. All of it also translates into money and power. Okay. So it's a lot of it is, how much money folks are making off of these apps, power. Again, when we start thinking about these certain technologies and, you know, legislation in state houses and in all these different departments and whatnot that want to ban certain things or they want to regulate certain things, you always want to think about a few things: privacy, the data, the power component, and then the money. Now, something that I believe and I foresee what's going to happen is that we're going to see some of our favorite creators in the creators economy. They're going to be coming to Capitol Hill. I pretty much am certain that we're going to see some of our favorite content creators go to Capitol Hill and advocate. I think we're going to see a new level of advocacy amongst the content creation and content creator community. Okay. So and again, I think we're also going to see more content creators get involved in, what is actually behind some of the policies and decisions that are being made when it comes to the apps and the things that they are, again, wanting us to pay attention to when we're on these platforms. So like Instagram, Twitter, what is it? Pinterest, who else is out here? YouTube. All of these individuals have policy and legal departments. Okay. So they already know. Okay. Because YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, who else? Discord, all the apps, all the things, right? Podcasting companies, the host platforms, everyone has legal teams, and everybody has government affairs people, and everyone has policy experts inside these organizations. Why? Well, okay, as we're seeing what's happening on the Hill and we're seeing what's going on, they need to, legally speaking, they're saying to themselves, we need to protect ourselves, right? Because eventually something's going to go wrong. That's number one. And then number two, they need to also be in what do you call, in line or in step with what's happening on the Hill. Okay. Because they know, they have, there's regulations, and there's definitely laws that can be passed about blocking mergers and whatnot. Wasn't it just like a year ago? Wasn't it they trying to block the Comcast? Let me look this up. Comcast merger. It was something, and they were like, you ain't doing it. Somebody blocked it. Um, Time Warner, Time Warner Cable to merge with Comcast. Well, yeah, I think it was an attempted. Okay, Comcast CEO downplays deal chatter. See, I believe, and this was back in 2014. So, all of this again, why would folks on the Hill and other places be so concerned about these types of mergers? Well, it has to do with, again, it has to do with it has to do with the money. It has to do with the power. It has to do with a lot of different things. I'm not necessarily an expert in this area, just observing a lot of my thoughts on what is actually going to be happening in 2023. Okay. So what we're going to be seeing, again, just to recap, is we're going to be seeing, number one, more and more, we're going to be seeing policy makers, right? Those elected officials, they're going to be all up in the creators economy. They're going to be all up in the business of our social media platforms, right? So buckle up for that. Also, too, 2023, according to Forbes, will be the year of AI ethics legislation. Okay. And let me read you a few things to consider. Okay. So they said expect many new laws to pass in 2023, tightening up citizen privacy and creating risk frameworks and audit requirements for data bias, privacy, and security risks. Okay. Because, again, when I talk about the data piece, the privacy piece, uh that's gold, that's bread and butter. Data is everything when we're looking at the companies and why they are creating these apps and the things that they need. They're gonna want the data. They always gonna want the data. So for instance, even around the world, the European Union has it has the AI Act, which is a proposed European law on artificial intelligence. And let's say you're using it to regulate the use of artificial intelligence, and it divides the use of AI into four risk categories to the rights of citizens. Unacceptable risks, such as the use of AI in social scoring by governments, like in China. High risk uses, such as educational or vocational training. Um, let's see, AI scanning tools at job rings. Okay, limited risk applications with specific transparency, minimal AI, such as spam filters. Okay, the U.S. in October, the Biden administration, the White House published a draft AI Bill of Rights intended to guide the use and deployment of automated systems. Brazil, Canada, and UK are working on similar developments. And it says the big five AI principles are the blueprint for safe and effective systems, algorithmic discrimination, data privacy, notice of explanation, human alternatives, considerations, and fallbacks. Because, again, with the data and privacy can lead to lots of other things. Okay, just mentioned there, discrimination, all sorts of things, right? Data that can be used for not so great things too, as well, because you never know. Again, as we lean into scanning our faces and signing up for apps and downloading things, you kind of never know, what folks are doing behind the scenes and what is their true intent of why they are creating. And so one of the things for me, when I'm seeing everybody get their faces scanned, I'm like, what's going on? Who's behind the scenes with my original picture looking at me? And listen, I already know I look good, but but I'm already saying to myself, uh, what's happening once you get my picture? Okay, so things for us to be mindful of. I will stop here, but we will most certainly have more of these conversations in 2023 when we start to see some of the developments of how social media policy and tech, how the integration is going to continue to collide. Lloyd, what's happening? Um, so yes, so be on the lookout, folks. When you are seeing some of your favorite content creators start to be very much vocal about, again, the social media, the policies, the bills, the legislation, things like that. We're going to see more of our favorite content creators speak out about that, and I believe that they should. Okay, just like we've seen a lot with some of the equity issues with TikTok and with other platforms when it comes to brown and black creators. We're going to be seeing more people be vocal. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I truly believe that this is the time where, again, those that are content creators that are out there, those that have background in policy. There needs to be some sort of collaboration. There needs to be some sort of more discussions that actually need to be taking place behind the scenes. You don't need to broadcast everything, but more and more folks need to become more knowledgeable about, what is it that as if you're a content creator and this is your business and your brand and you're going full into it in 2023, what are some of the things that you're looking at in terms of the platforms that you're using that should be discussed, and what are some things that you can be thinking about in terms of proposing to the powers that be of these social media platforms. Lots for us to dive into next year. But yeah, and this is going to be one of the core topics that I'll most certainly be continuing to talk about and follow, and we're going to be talking about it because these are definitely some important things that we need to continue to discuss. All right, all right. I love it. I love it. Thank you all for that piece of show and tell with Ask Ash. I love it. So today, as we sort of round out this last live stream of the year, we've been talking all month about project workflows, and don't think for once that this particular workflow and what we're talking about will not be discussed again next year, because Monday starts a brand new theme. A brand new theme. We're kicking it all the way back to Project Essentials, and I don't know what I'll call it, but I'll announce it. I'll announce it for sure what we're going to call it, but we may be calling it the foundations. Right? We're going to talk about the foundations. It may be called brick by brick. I don't know. I'm always naming something weird. I always am. Yeah. So, but we're going to strip it all the way back starting Monday. And we're going to be talking about all month. And it's going to be every Monday. We're going to be talking about why you are starting your project. I know that a lot of people have their different opinions about goals and all of those different things. I truly believe, and I do believe in goal setting. I believe it's helpful. I believe that you should have something that you're running towards or walking towards or jogging towards. And I believe that projects help to center you so that you know exactly what it is that you are looking to achieve. And so one of the things that we often jump into is we take on projects, client projects, or internal business projects. And oftentimes we don't actually do a feasibility study. And so what I mean by feasibility study, we don't assess what we should be doing, why we are doing it. Does this actually make sense? And is there alignment, right? Is there alignment? Because there's often things that are projects that we want to launch and we can't launch it at the same time, and we have to evaluate what's the priority. So I'm going to walk us through this particular approach, and then we're going to get into it. February, we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about budgeting. We're going to talk about all that other good stuff. And so there'll be tech demos. We'll talk about ClickUp. And then we'll go through I think I'm going to start again this on Monday. I'm actually going to start doing maybe a mini case study. And I think I might have rushed through it last month, but we're going to be really focusing on team productivity, and we're going to really focus on what these particular elements are. So I'm going to go and kind of walk through, what's the first step of that, tools to consider, what do we really mean by creating a communication plan for your team. So I'll be integrating some things in between, but we're going to have a blast. We're going to have a blast. All right. So if I look at process and flow, as we think about our project strategy, and we're again going to be talking more about that next month, the month after, I believe, as well. So something to consider. Okay, so I want to talk a bit about what exactly we mean. Number one, what do we mean by actually a project workflow? So I'll do that. I'll get into that because that was actually one of the first live streams. It was like earlier this month. So we'll do just a quick recap, shall we? Um when I'm talking about project workflows, okay, we're talking about number one at its core and at its definition is we are talking about a particular product, service, or result. That's the project. Boom. NFT, virtual event, membership group, course, what have you, right? Logo. That's the project. Project management is it's the knowledge, it's the skills, the ability, it's the it's all the things. It's the tasks, it's the strategy, it's also the approach for actually carrying out the project so that you can execute. So a few things to note about project workflows is that there's always a beginning, middle, and end. If you saw my Instagram reel today, I mentioned that project workflows are like a BLT sandwich. They're like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. They're like shrimp and grits. Okay. And I say that because there's a process, a beginning, a middle, and an end. All right. And what I think is really important to understand is that project workflows really focus on, again, transparency, flexibility, and really making sure that you have a plan for all of your tasks to go from start to finish. Okay. That there is an order. Okay. You hear this, what is the phrase? You want to do everything in decency and order. Workflows and project workflows, they help you with that. They help you to be able to carry out the tasks, the resources, the technology, the skill, the leadership, everything from start to finish in decency and in order. Having a clear order of tasks in a project management workflow helps you to get projects done more efficiently and effectively. So they save time, improve results, and increase collaboration. Okay, very important. So as we head on to a recapping of what a project workflow is and all of that, I do want to bring to your attention that as you start to think about the projects that you are working on. So let's say you are going to be embarking upon launching a brand new program. Okay. I've been talking to a lot of really cool people that are very much launching new programs, coaching programs, membership groups, what have you, workshops, all the things. And so when we start to think about, all right, I'm getting ready to launch, or I want to launch, or I want to start to, you know, get on the journey of building this thing from the ground up. We have to talk about a few things. Number one, the feasibility. Uh, Again, Monday, we're gonna get all into all of that. Why are we doing it? Strategic alignment. So figuring that you've checked all the boxes of I'm doing this, it makes sense for me to do it. I understand why I'm doing it. All right, cool. Now there's something to defining the project strategy and the cadence. And so what I want to do is I want to, make sure that you all understand what I mean when I'm talking about um the actual process. Okay. We're talking about the actual process when it comes to the process and approach in the actual strategy. Okay. We're going to be talking about that. So what and I'm actually looking at I'm actually pulling up a note or two just to make sure. um okay, cool. I think I am. Oop, okay. I'm pulling up a note. Okay, cool, cool, cool. um Something to, again, consider when we're talking about like the project strategy. We're talking about, well, how should I go about executing this project? This is the question. Okay. And many of us, and I know for myself, it's like, you know, let's just get the work done. Let's just, we don't need to dilly dally. We don't need to, like, think too, you know, concretely about, like, all right, the approach. It's just hire the people, or let me just make a few phone calls, work on this, da 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 da. No, there needs to be, again, everything in decency and order. There's a difference between, and I want to bring this up because somebody's probably thinking out there, well, sometimes you just need to go and you need to execute. Now, there is a time and a place for just going and executing or just starting. Okay. There's a time and there's a place. I'm all for it. Sometimes you need to just say, let's just go. Let's just go and do. But then again, when we start getting into intentionally creating programs, products, services, processes, and things like that, we want to be able to think strategically, and we want to make sure that we are approaching this in such a way where it makes sense, right? So when we talk about the project strategy, I'm talking mainly, hey, how exactly am I going to execute this project? What's the process? What's the process, people? Are we going to have waterfall approach, traditional, or phased approach? Are we going to go agile on them? Hey, we're going to go agile on you. Okay. We're going to have a backlog. We're going to have, like, to do, in progress, complete. We're going to have daily stand ups. We're going to be doing all the things. Okay. Is that what we're about? Is that what we are about? Are we going to have, again, are we going to have an iterative approach? Are we going to have an adaptive approach? Okay. Are these the things that we are going to do? All right. And so some of you all, and again, when we're thinking about even our programs that we are, putting together, you know, some things that we should be thinking about in terms of how do we want to approach this, because some of you may be thinking, you know what, let me just go with a more agile approach, you know, agile-ish, right? Where, I'm going to have several things in the backlog and we're just going to tackle things per day because we just want to get the stuff done. And that may work. That may actually work, right? That may actually be something that is a good approach. But you also may have a situation, again, this is all going to be dependent upon a few things. The degree of innovation, meaning the scope and the requirements. Okay. How complicated is this program? Is it just something where you're just going to let people in at a certain time period, and you're just going to rock it, where it's just like, you know what? I'm just going to get these few things in place and then I'm going to launch? Or do you have an actual, a true community where they've been craving to get inside of your program, and you're just like, you know what? I need to make sure this is done the right way. So you want to look at scope. What's the scope? What are you going to do and what you're not going to do? You want to think about who you have, the people factor, right? You want to think about if you have any constraints, monies, time. Oh, time's not this. Money, time, the scope of the project. Um, for those of you that work in corporate, let's think about the organizational structure. So does that play a role in terms of how you're going to go about selecting the actual project process, right? I think that's really important to note as well. I do want to show you. I do want to show you what an incremental approach looks like. Okay? I do want to show you a few things. Uh, we're gonna. incremental approach to project management. Okay. All right. Let's mm, 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 mm. Let's see. The groovement. So when we talk about incremental, we're talking about dividing the project up into it's the different phases. Okay? It's the different phases. So as I bring up and share my screen, we're just going to I'm just going to pull this out. I'm going to share my screen. Let me get my little handy dandy notebook out because I have something I wanted to actually physically show you. Let's see. I'm going to open up this notebook. Okay. Let's see. Let me present. And okay. Untitled share. Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. So a couple of things. A predictive cycle, and I will let me go back over here. So I'm actually going to put this right over here. I'm going to start with this one. Predictive. This is our phased approach, folks. Predictive life cycle. Boom. All right. So this is a predictive life cycle. And this is where we're gonna we kind of look at this as, all right, here are the phases. Okay. All right. So one, and then two, three. All right. I think this is 5. So this is where we got our phase 1. I'm gonna change this to white. Hold on. Phase 1. Oh. Oh. Here we go. Phase 2. Okay, hold on. Phase 2. Again, this may not be you fully, right? This is also phase 4. Phase 5. Phase 5. Oop. Okay, so you see this right here? You got this phased approach. Okay. And so again, for all of those peeps that are creating programs, this might be familiar. This might be like super familiar for y'all. Those of you that are launching coaching programs. All right. So when you hear even for those that are in programs that teach you how to launch a program or a program, they'll have something like week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Same concept. In each phase, there's going to be particular tasks that you will complete before you move on to the next phase. Make sense? Make sense? I mean, it's really, I think this is an important note to kind of take place, right? This is a life cycle, and I'm actually using the Pinbox 7th edition just in case you see what I'm reading from. But I just want to make sure that you all are connecting what I'm talking about. So it says, it's a life cycle where one phase finishes before the next one begins. So if you have a coaching program and you are building out your coaching program from scratch, phase 5 typically probably is going to be your launch. But you can't go from phase 2 to phase 5 without having the previous steps, the previous phases accounted for. Okay. So this is a type of life cycle would fit well with a predictive development approach, since each phase is only performed once and each phase focuses on a particular type of work. Okay. So that is the predictive. Now, if you were, and let me just, because this was actually a very nice little predictive. This is a nice little thing I did right here. I'm actually going to put a little line here. In case you all don't know, this is like my jam all day. If you were to work with me one-on-one, this is exactly what we would be doing. We would be whiteboarding and having conversation, and you would be having your breakthrough. I love it. I love it. Okay. So we know that this is predictive. We got that. We're straight on that. We got predictive. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to be talking about, what's going on, Stephen Shears? Can I? Okay, for some reason I just want this to be a little bit bold. And then because I'm like all the way in love with like Miro, I've been using this since mid-August. Can I? Oh, this is cool. You can like highlight. It's like super cool. This is like my jam. Okay, so it's predictive. So we have that. It's like right there. Predictive. Okay. And the next thing we're going to look into is, oh, you know what I'm going to do? Copy. And the next thing we're going to do is incremental development approach. Okay. Again, this is all going to be dependent on a few things: scope and requirements, resources, your team, deadline, how fast you kind of want to launch this program. So when we're saying the incremental approach, this has a little bit of like a tweaking factor. And what I mean by tweaking is that you are going to be able to, what's the right word? Have iterations. Okay. There's going to be iterations. Okay. So what we mean by this is, you know what I'm about to do? Let me copy this right quick. And I'm just going to change the color, make it green. So we mean that we have a concept. So let's write this down, shall we? Let's just be live with it. But it's going to be a coaching program. This is a coaching program. All right. Hey, we got that. So you may, as some people like to say, maybe you want to do it like a beta style. You know what I mean? Maybe you want to do it beta. Maybe you're doing like an accelerator. Could be. So this is kind of where you have phase 1, the groundwork. This is where you're really sort of figuring out what you need to do. Oh, okay. I'm going to, okay. Add the same object. We're going to change the type. Okay, cool. Well, okay. Yeah, we can. Add the same object. Phase 2. Hold on. The groundwork. Oop. Phase 3. The execution. So let me make sure. I got the picture right. That's why I'm looking off to the side. I got the picture right. Okay, cool. So this is a coaching program. Maybe this is beta. Maybe this is like beta accelerator style. And what you're doing here, and this may not take a long time. Maybe you're like, all right, I'm looking to do this. And for each accelerator, I'm going to add or tweak or revisit components of this particular program. Okay. So maybe it is phase 1, you're getting the coaching curriculum together. You got the ideation piece, and everything. And then phase 2, you're like, cool. In phase 2, let me actually build out the curriculum and do the first 3 modules. I will film and get those up and put them in the tool of choice. And then I'm going to do my launch plan and then promote it. And then what I'll do is at the end of the 6 weeks, I'll get feedback, and then I'll go back again and go back into phase 1 and tweak it again and add to it. And you do that, and that's your approach. Okay. So, and again, the incremental, and I want to be very clear about this, is that I just merged 2 things: incremental and this adaptive approach as well. Now, this is really good too, because when we're thinking about this from a product standpoint, what happens is there is a feedback piece to it. And that's what I just added into this incremental development approach. What's cool about PM, you can merge worlds. Like, it's not like you can't say, oh no, that's the wrong approach. This can't be the wrong approach. This can't be the wrong approach, right? So I think it's really important, that we, make sure that we understand that you can begin to merge what you really think is the best approach. Okay. So increments, again, you're looking at this from the perspective of, you are slicing this into increments, and you're working on your coaching program. Again, small increments: foundation, groundwork, execution. If you want to slide into more of the agile piece of it, where you have more of a adaptive approach, you have the feedback piece of it, you can add that in there, and then you can go and make your iterations there. Right? I like it. Yeah. So some things to think about in terms of like which approach fits which type of project and the life cycle. So a cool thing to think about is from a deliverable perspective, and again, this kind of goes into what we talked about the week before last, which was how many deliverables are you going to have? Are you going to have multiple? Are you going to have one? Okay. So if you were going to have a single delivery, again, a coaching program, it's kind of like a single delivery. Okay. I would probably even say that even a membership community is probably more adaptive because there's going to be a lot of starting up, planning, developing, testing, deploying, and then going back and being able to go through that cycle once again. So if you have something where you are delivering like a website or a logo design that's periodic deliveries, you want to have an adaptive approach. But again, this is all going to be dependent, right? And so when we're looking at it, and if you're delivering, again, a logo design, artwork, what else? A campaign of sorts, you're going to have iterations. Okay. And again, this is also not to say you cannot merge different styles together. You just have to be very clear, right? And so when we're thinking about our strategy, when we're thinking about the approach that we want to take, we want to consider a few things. Number one, scope and requirements. What am I doing? What I'm not doing? What's required to actually be able to execute this project? What's required? Budget, resources, all the things. Okay. Who do I have? What will I need? All right. How many deliverables will I have? You know, is it going to be multiple? Is it going to be one? And the bottom line is that you have the freedom to be able to create the process that's going to work for you. You have the freedom. You have the freedom. Is there anything else I wanted to cover in this? Okay. I think we got it. I think we got it. So, and I'm going to actually add this right. You know what I'm going to do right here? I'm actually going to add something here. Do we have a circle? I think we have a circle. Feedback. And so that right there, that really helps to kind of helps to put together when we're talking about that agile piece. All right. I think this has just been fantastic. I'm actually going to save this too, because I thought this was just PM strategy and approaches. I like this. I will probably develop this out further. But this, my friends, was super, super great. And I just look forward to 2023. And my friends, we are going to start off again, project fundamentals, project essentials. And we're going to start off with this question. Why? Why are you working on this project? And we going to go straight into it. That's all I have for you all today. I did want to call a few things to your attention. Number one, be sure to text live to 626-722-5444. If you have any questions about the resources that I've shared, I'm more than happy to text out any articles or things that you've seen, things that I've mentioned. I can text that to you, and then you can just you'll know when I go live by subscribing to the text community there. Also, you'll find in the show notes as well, you will find, links. I got, some links. They are affiliate, just things that keep me productive, things that I use in my business. Also, too, if you ever want to grab a one-on-one, you can certainly grab a session. The link is in the description there. You want to sit one-on-one, you want to talk about your project, want to talk about strategy, approach, all the things as well. I also have also some options too. If you ever wanted to have a more of an async type of experience where it's just me and you, and we're just sort of talking and you're thinking and you want to strategize and you're not necessarily down with sitting for a Zoom call because, you're like, that's a little overrated. We can talk about this new app that we can use, still have the same experience. We'll be fully answering questions, but it's more of in an async type of way. So send a DM. Let me know what you need, and Happy New Year to everyone. And we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for supporting the Systems Lab Live. We'll be back next year, brand new topics, exciting times, and make sure you hug your loved ones. Tell people that you love them, especially in these last 48. And hey, also too, the Lord and Jesus loves you. All right. And we'll talk soon. Bye.